this cover that I read was Magnolia Parks. So now hear me out, y'all. Like, hey y'all, it's Rihanna and this is my first video. It's also June 1st, which means it's time for a May wrap up. So I think I'm gonna start with the books I don't have physical copies of, because I always read my books like hand in hand, like I read paperback. But the books that I don't really like, because I'm very particular about my bookshelf, I usually will take them to the used bookstore in New May and I can get a credit for them and I can get other used books there. So that's what I did with these copies. So the first one is, and I know this may be controversial because people love Lucy Score, but Things We Hide from the Light. Okay, so I have my notes here because obviously I don't have the copy with me. Basically, it's about Knox and it's like his story and he finds love, basically. No, I'm just kidding. Let me stop. But it's Knox, y'all. He's hot. He's a cop, or was a cop until he got hurt. And so he's sweet. He is a self-depriving cop who is consistently battling his inner demons until Lena comes along and basically helps him out, you know? And she's also like a very baddie, you know, she does what she needs to do. She gets stuff done, right? But she's also undercover doing some work that he doesn't really know about at the beginning of the novel. So a lot of the book is just like leading up to any sort of tension. And I know Lucy Score has like some good smut in her books, you know, it's not like too overbearing for the most part, you know? So, but this one, she really made y'all wait. Y'all, I'm telling you, when you get to chapter 28 is when it finally starts. But that's like towards the end of the book, you know? And I'm sorry, I'm looking over here. The camera's over here. Okay, so basically, Helena sees behind the screen and sees who he truly is. And she sees what he's put between himself and the world, and only she can get past that. And somehow he finds her worthy, you know? And so it's a really good build up, but it's critically uninspiring, y'all. Like, I'm just waiting for Lucian to show himself, because at this point, I don't know. It was good. It wasn't something to call home about, if that makes sense, you know? Which leads me to the next book, which was Anna and the French Kiss. You can hold that up. So that book, it's a good YA novel. I could see why it was trending the time it was, because I know people was like, oh my gosh, you have to read it. And it was cute. It really was cute. I feel like a best friends to lovers trope needs to be done with history. And I get that you could become best friends in a year, which is totally something that could happen. But at the same time, like, there's no past history and all of a sudden, like, she's saying, you're my best friend, you know? And I'm like, I mean, y'all hung out for like a week. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But I don't know. I just feel like they don't spend that much time together, and the descriptions of France and stuff were amazing, and I think that's what made the book. I think that's why I would like want to recommend it to somebody else, not because of the characters themselves. You know what I mean? They weren't really doing things to make themselves stand out in the fiction world of like YA romance, best friends to lovers tropes. But France, I will be all day for the author to talk about stuff that they're doing in France, because that was done so beautifully. So yeah. And then the rest of the books I read, actually I have copies of because I love them so much I wanted to keep them, which is a bit of a stretch because the first book is The Addicted After All, which is like, I think the 7th or 8th book in the series out of like, what, 10 books total. This has been a long time coming. This is pretty much like the end of Lily and Lo's like love story. And it's not like the end, it's more of just like kind of like a nice conclusion. And I think that the title of this book, which like you would think I would have guessed it, or like we would have guessed it, but like it makes so much sense, because like, I don't know, I don't think this is spoiling it, but like when you have an addiction to something, and it's a very serious topic to have an addiction, and it could be to a lot, like there's a lot of different categorizing of like what an addiction is or what yours is too, but it's not something you necessarily can get over, you know? Some people may, like, you know, there's people on like TLC who are addicted to soap and stuff, like, yeah, you could probably get over that, but like, you know, I'm like talking about the series like Nitty Gritty, which is kind of like what they're going through. Like, you don't ever get over it, you know? Like, just because like his addiction is alcohol lows, and it's like, you're not just cured and he can just go back to drinking alcohol. Like, that's not how it works. So I like that the title's Addicted After All, and I know that's just such a silly detail, but it really helps hone in on how important their story is and how important they mean to each other. And I love that they're so aware of the fact that they have codependency on each other, because low-key, it's probably not the healthiest, but their relationship together is actually pretty healthy. Like after the first couple of books, like you can tell that they're consistent with each other, and I really love that. Also, I will be a Rose and Connor stan until the day that I, you know, and they are just, I don't know what it is. Everyone, like, I get that having their own stories is very important, but they are so much more charismatic in books that are not theirs. So like in Hot House Flower and this one and any of Lily and Lo's books, I think it's because it's their perception of Rose and Connor versus what Rose and Connor are thinking, because Connor's like, I'm the superior male species complex. It's funny in their books, but in his book, it's kind of annoying. And maybe I need to read the next book that's coming up, which is about them, which I'm very excited about, because like I said, I'm their stan. But I don't know, they're just a lot more enjoyable when they're in Lily and Lo's perspective. That's all I gotta say. All right, so then the next book that I read was also cute, The Flat Share. Y'all, this cover, I get paperback books. I don't really care about special editions and stuff. Maybe I will one day, but like my bookshelf is not that huge. I mean, there's a section that's not shown, but y'all, this cover is so beautiful. Like I just want to hang it up on my wall. I don't know what it is about it. Like it's so simple, but it's just like pastel-y and like so pretty and calming. Like I just feel like I felt so sophisticated because I read this on vacation, and I feel like when I was just reading it, like people were just walking by being like, oh, that looks interesting. I was like, like it's just so cute. And so this book centers around Tiffany and Leon, or Tiffy, sorry. Well, Tiffany, but Tiffy. And she needs a place to stay. She's just gotten like kicked out of her apartment with her ex-boyfriend. He's actually not a good person at all. And so we find out more of her story with him throughout the book, which I think is done so well, because it slowly like shows that like when you're in a toxic situation, a toxic situation, you don't recognize it sometimes at first. And so that's kind of what she's going through, and I don't want to spoil too much about it, but it's really nice to see that all the things that she was lacking in this previous relationship with Leon, with her ex-boyfriend, she is finding with Leon as they like start to get closer. So he's filling the gaps that she thought she didn't even know like were empty. He's fixing parts of her, or not fixing her, because you can't fix your partner, but like helping her to recognize things that she needs to work on for herself, and recognizing that she needs to get help and stuff, and that he's just basically just supporting her along the way. And I think that this book is so cute and does such a good job at showing that adult dating, basically, because I read a lot of like YA romance, and like that's all fine and dandy, but I like this nitty-gritty stuff because this is the real stuff. You know, this is what I'm about to encounter. I'm 22, and like I know the adult dating world is a lot different than when you're dating in college, when you get to see each other on campus every day. And so this one is just really sweet, which even though they are putting an awkward situation where she is staying at his place, they don't see each other at first. They're communicating through notes, and I think that this book literally is so good. It's so good. I want everyone to read it. So yeah. All right, and so then we have the best little beach read, The Summer of Broken Rules. So I know that this book and Every Summer After were very big, or is it Every Summer Ever? Sorry, I don't know if I'm butchering that, but was a very big like contenders with each other. And they're just really good beach reads. I love a good beach read, especially beach read. See what I did there? But anyways, this book is so cute. It's about Meredith Fox, and her sister passed away, unfortunately. That's not a spoiler. It's on the back of the book. And she still goes to Cape Cod, and it's been 2 years since she's been back, but she's going back for a wedding, basically. And so she gets there, and she meets a cute groomsman, and they just go on shenanigans. And the whole book is like they're doing a game of assassin, and I literally love assassin. And so this book was my cup of tea. It was such like a little adventure, and I love how she writes. K.L. Walther. I'm gonna read every single book by her. And I know, at first I thought there was a book that was already out, and I checked and it was like pre-order or whatever. So I will be getting those books as they come in. But she is I just love the way she writes. It's so quick, it's so easy, it's witty, but also it like has some depth to it too, you know? A little, not too much. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say that this is the most profound book ever, but it's just a really fun, like easy, quick beach read. Like I read it in a day. It was just something good to sit on the pool chair and just read all day. So if you wanna read it, give it a chance. Yeah, there's obviously some family trauma because of it, but like it's honestly, they take it in a lighthearted manner. So like it's happened 2 years ago since her sister passed, and it's a very serious topic, but they don't tiptoe around it. Like they're not afraid to address it, yet you can tell they're still healing from it / are healing from it. So it's not just like a locked door to grief. Like we're getting to see what's happening with her as she goes through it. You know what I mean? Hope that makes sense. So yeah. All right. So then the last book that I read was Magnolia Parks. So now hear me out before you click off and you think this girl has the most toxic taste ever. Listen, okay? Because I'm gonna make a whole book video about this. That annotation is really ugly, but I'm gonna fully annotate this book and I'm gonna make a video about it because I just feel like this book is so misunderstood. Okay, listen, I'm not gonna say it's my favorite book. I'm not gonna say that it doesn't have some very huge issues, and not the book itself, not the writer, but like the characters in the book, if you know what I mean. And so I think that it deserves to be given a second chance. I think that we need to read the rest of the books in the series. I think that I need to, because I know they've been out for a while and other people have, but I just finally had to get around to it. And I was like, I don't know, London Socialites, like that's never been something that interested me. And reading this book, I was like, dang, like I feel like I'm watching like, not a sitcom, but you know, like Gossip Girl. Everyone's gonna be like, duh, but like, you know what I mean? Like I never fully watched Gossip Girl, but I know that people really compared this to that. And there's another one, but I can't remember at the top of my head the show. And I just feel like this is probably something that you would watch and just be like, oh wow, I feel like I know them. Like you literally have never spoken to them in your life. That's how I felt with these characters. Like it was so easy to get in their world and to just kind of like see the way they're thinking and to see the backs and forth of their relationship and the parallels between how they're doing it, like BJ and Magnolia are doing, versus how her parents are going through turmoil and how his parents are actually very supportive and stuff. So it's very just, you get to see it and you get to compare and you get to say, okay, he came out like this, but he's doing something that he's making a mistake that her parents may have made. And she turned out like this and she's acting kind of like how his parents would have acted. Like she wants what his parents have, you know what I mean? I mean, she doesn't clearly ever state that, but it's just funny just to notice that and say, oh, it's not always about the way you were raised. You know, it's also about the decisions that you choose to make because you're in control of yourself and you know the decision you're making before you make it. Even if you're drunk, even if you're like going through something, like some part of you is aware, which he kind of talks about that too. So that was very interesting. I don't know. This book had me going, ooh, at the end. So I'm excited to read the rest. I'm excited to fully annotate this and talk about it because I think this deserves to be talked about. Not because it's the best relationship ever. I'm telling you, by no means do I root for them, but I do root for them to have self-discoveries. And I think that we're going to see that in the further books. So yeah. And then the next book's about Daisy Hates, which is one of the characters in here. So I'm excited to read that one and let you guys follow me on my Magnolia Parks journey because I know this was hugely talked about. So we shall see. So anyways, ending on that note, I am so glad to be finally making videos again. I used to make videos when I was younger and they were like skits and stuff, but I just wanted to come back on here, really talk about my love for books. I was doing a bunch of Instagram reviews on my books for a while, just like to my friends on Instagram. And I, you know, it's different when you have a community who also likes thinks the same way you do, or maybe not thinks the same way you do, but has different points of view about books you've read. Because it's hard talking to my following of people who've probably never read these books and being like, this is why you should read it. But to this book talk community, booktube community, like it's exciting to see. I'm also not on TikTok, so this is the only way that I get my entertainment. I go on YouTube, I go booktube, and I find all my favorite YouTubers. So yeah, I'm excited to finally just be making videos and talking about the books that I love so much and finding a community who also feels the same way. So if you want to join me on this journey, stick around. Once again, I'm Rihanna. It's so nice to meet you guys. I will see you next week because I will be posting a video about Magnolia Parks. Maybe this week I will do a TBR. We shall see. All right, bye.